Have you heard of the word Kagongjok? It's a Korean word combining three words, cafe, which means cafe, 공부, which means studying, and 족, which means tribe or group. So literally, Kagongjok means a group of people who studies in cafe. And if you ever walked in a cafe in Korea, even on a random weekday afternoon, you can actually see them. Every table covered with laptops, piles of notes, problem-solving books, iPads full of lecture videos, and somehow everyone is focused. But how did Korea end up turning cafes into study places? To understand that, you need to understand how the form of coffee and cafe changed in Korea. Coffee entered Korea in the late 19th century. At that time, Koreans didn't even know how to call it. Some of the early names are gabe, which has similar pronunciation with coffee, and other one is 양탕국, which means Western medicine soup. People thought the dark bitter liquid looked like medicine. One of the earliest Koreans who enjoyed coffee was Gojong, the Korean emperor. He first drank coffee during Agon Pachon and liked it so much that eventually he actually built a cafe inside Deoksugung called 정관현, which is Korea's first royal cafe. He hosted foreign diplomats there, held conversations, and enjoyed what he saw as a modern, elegant drink. After Korean War, coffee began spreading through a completely different route. Dabang, which is Korean-style coffee houses. By 1955, Seoul alone had more than 500 dabang, and nationwide there are over 3,600. But what's even more surprising is that coffee was still technically illegal to import at that time. Most of the coffee used in dabang, which were instant coffee, came from US military PX supplies, which was brought in unofficially. The most popular menu at the time was called morning coffee, which included a raw egg yolk. Why an egg yolk? People believed drinking bitter coffee on an empty stomach was unhealthy, so a yolk was added to soften the bitterness and to give a rich taste. Many people today think it sounds strange, but apparently it was delicious. During this time, coffee was expensive. In the 1970s, a cup of coffee cost about the same as the cost of jjajangmyeon. It wasn't something you casually drink every day. It was a form of luxury. But still, Koreans like visiting dabang. Beyond coffee itself, Korea has a strong culture of meeting and gathering outside of home. People met in public spaces such as tea houses, restaurants, and later dabang. Even today, many Koreans prefer to socialize outside rather than home. This cultural habit made cafes a perfect place to not only drink coffee, but to talk, rest, or meet friends. Thus, coffee was luxury, but still, dabang was beloved to Koreans. Then everything changed with the invention of mass production of instant coffee. Korea began producing instant coffee in 1970, and in 1976, Korea invented the world's first coffee mix, or 3-in-1 coffee stick, coffee, sugar, and creamer all in one small packet. That tiny invention completely transformed Korean coffee culture. Cheap, sweet, creamy, and fast. Perfect for Korea's 빨리빨리 lifestyle. At the late 1990s, Korea entered another phase. Bean import rules were loosened. Espresso began common. The very first franchise cafe, 압구정 Jadang, opened. But still, most of the coffee consumed in Korea was coffee mix. And then, in 1999, Starbucks arrived. The first Starbucks in Korea opened near Ewha Women's University, and it doesn't just introduce new drinks. It brought a completely new idea of what cafe could be. The concept of the third place. Now, this third place philosophy didn't start in Korea. It began in the United States. Starbucks in America marketed itself not home, not at work or school, but a comfortable space in between, where you can sit, relax, and spend time however you want. A place where people could write, study, hold meetings, read, or simply spend time. In many American cities, people started gathering in Starbucks to use free Wi-Fi after the invention of the internet. This gradually led to working in Starbucks. So when Starbucks came to Korea, it didn't just bring frappuccinos. It brought culture of working in cafes. And this idea blended perfectly to the Korean lifestyle pattern. Starbucks in Korea offered constant flavors, calm background music, large table, comfortable chairs, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and most importantly, the freedom to stay as long as much as you want. No one rushed you, no one told you to leave after finishing your drink. Because of these advantages, Starbucks had a really big success in Korea, and the major term of coffee changed from coffee mix to espresso coffee. After Starbucks proved that cafes could be more than just drink shops, Korea saw an explosive rise of new coffee franchises. Chains like Coffee Bean, Hallie's, Twosome Place, Angelina's, and many others opened rapidly throughout the new century. These brands competed to create larger spaces, more outlets, better seating, and longer operating hours. As a result, the idea of spending hours in cafe became normalized, not just in Starbucks, but across the entire cafe industry in Korea. And this matched something very Korean, the country's intense studying culture. Studying at home can be distracting, and libraries are too quiet and strict. But cafes, they were perfect. Just the right amount of background noise, a little social pressure to keep on working, a comfortable seat, and the endless supply of caffeine. And suddenly, a new type of customer naturally appeared. That it was Kagongjok. Why did Kagongjok become such a huge phenomenon? There are several reasons. First, accessibility. Korea has one of the highest cafe densities in the world. In many Seoul neighborhoods, you can see 3 cafes in the same intersection. Second, ambience. The sound of coffee grinders, soft conversations, clicking cups, all of it create gentle white noise that can help you concentrate. Third, velocities. Tables, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, everything you need to study for hours. And fourth, Korea's academic culture. Students study long hours. They move constantly between home, school, and self-study places. A comfortable, flexible space like a cafe naturally fits this lifestyle. Interestingly, the rise of Kagongjok also changed the study culture itself. As more students prefer studying outside their homes, a new type of study-focused business opened. The most popular one is Study Cafe, which combines the quiet, structured atmosphere of the 독서실 and the comfortable interior design of the modern cafe. These spaces offer private booths, unlimited drinks, quiet rooms, group study rooms, and even 24-hour access. This shows how deeply the idea of studying outside or studying in cafe has become integrated into Koreans' life. In a way, the Kagongjok trend did not stop at cafes. It reshaped the entire system of Korean students studying. So when we look at the big picture, the modern Korean cafe culture, especially the rise of Kagongjok, it's not the isolated trend. It's the result of global influence mixing with Korean cultural tendencies. Coffee traveled from Africa to Middle East to Europe to America and eventually to Korea. Starbucks exported an American work-friendly cafe culture to the world. And Korea took that global third-place concept and transformed it into something uniquely Korean, a study space. So today, when you walk into a cafe in Korea and see tables filled with people typing away, solving math problems, practicing coding, or memorizing vocabulary, you're not just looking at students in cafe. You're looking at a result of more than a century of cultural blending, global trends entering Korea and being reshaped to match Korean needs. So, that was a story of how coffee entered Korea, how cafe evolved, and how Starbucks spread its idea of work-friendly third place, and how that eventually became the Korean phenomenon we called Kagongjok. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your coffee.